A Cranium for Christmas by E.P. Henderson. The chanting rises to a frenzied animal pulse like an army cadence call or gorillas booming across humid jungles. Down it, down it. I shudder. They've all downed it, and now I'm the last one standing. Fists pummel the tables, startling the crested cutlery. The tinsel on the ancient panelled walls trembles. "Come on, you pussy!" bellows Pog, rugby top straining, face red as a beef tomato. "Down it!" Wolf howls, bird screeches, war cries. I raise the stolen traffic cone, stare into its mixture of mulled wine, cider, curdled eggnog, and mashed mince pie. The name of this unearthly concoction is Santa's nutsack. I down it. I chug that booze like Thomas the fucking Tank Engine, then I wipe my mouth, clap the cone on my head, and pump my arms. Dead silence. Then the dining hall erupts. "Legend!" cries Vinny, smacking me harder than one of her lacrosse balls, and the cry goes up. "One of us! One of us!" I grin through tears, desperately trying to keep the nutsack down for the required 60 seconds. Worth it, I think. This is the stupidest and most important thing I've ever done. "All right, ladies." My voice is a barbed wire rasp, like I've just filleted Satan. "It's time for the prank of pranks. Let's steal that fucking skull." I first heard about the Boscrones Ladies Alcohol Appreciation Society from my brother Bertie in his third year at Wigston. Wigston Uni is the unofficial Oxbridge for idiots, full of wealthy toffs too stupid and not rich enough to bribe their way into the real place by sponsoring a library or whatever. Wigston's sprawling campus is a former stately home gambled away by the 3rd Earl of Leicester, so it fills the gap nicely. I'm not an idiot, by the way. I just like to fit in. Wigston's had a not very secret men-only drinking society since Georgian times called the Scullers, notorious across the Midlands for their so-called rumbles, where members get shit-faced and act like a bunch of toddlers on crack. Their prized possession is a drinking sconce made from the 3rd Earl's skull, hence the society's name. Legend claims if you drink from it on the winter solstice, it grants your dearest wish. And Scullermen, despite, or perhaps because they don't exactly top the intellectual pile, have a suspicious habit of becoming Prime Minister. After several deaths from alcohol poisoning in the 80s, it looks like the Scullers might dissolve. But then the 90s dawned and Wigston, the last all-male university in England, was forced to admit women, who of course immediately started their own rival drinking club, the Boscrones. "Sounds like Little Mix meets Mumsnet," I said to Bertie, my big brother who was newly elected president of the Scullers was taking a university-sanctioned rest week to recover from a Scullers versus Boscrones triathlon. You have to drink 3 pints of port, eat 3 kebabs, and start 3 fights. The girls had won by a comfortable margin. "I wish," he groaned from under the kitchen table. "These chicks are wild. Every bar in Wigston's terrified of the Friday night pub crawls. They cause more damage than the Scullers. It just gets hushed up because all the dads are cabinet ministers." "Really? You should let them join. They sound perfect." Bertie raised a shaking hand. "Oh, I can't do that, Cassie." "Why not?" "Tradition," he wheezed, face the colour of damp plaster. "Oh, you're a girl, you wouldn't understand." I frowned at my A-level politics textbook. Suddenly it seemed a lot of effort to bother passing my exams. After all, Bertie hadn't, and Mum still cherished a rose-tinted conviction that he was destined for high office. And last night he'd been chundering into the same gutter as the Chancellor's daughter, so maybe she was right. Maybe what I really needed in my life was fewer ballots and more benders. In fact, screw Oxbridge. It sounded like I could meet all the right people at Wigston. Why work when you can network, eh? But Boss Crones has strict entry requirements, which is why Pog, Vinny and me, the three newbies, are now crawling through a drainage tunnel on our way to kidnap the legendary school sconce. Bertie lets slip that it's kept in the Sculler's not very secret chamber of treasures, aka a disused cellar underneath the university library. Apparently the Scullers chose to meet here because they knew they'd never be disturbed. No true Wigston man would ever be seen dead entering a library. It's damp and mouldy smelling and extremely cramped down here, especially with Vinny's lacrosse skirted arse in my face and Pog behind me puffing like she'd given birth. Why did we have to break in this way? Vinny whines, whisking cobwebs from her hair. Lady Lavinia, always the princess. Because, I sigh, it's the Sculler's Solstice initiation ceremony tonight. Bertie and his inbred gimps are in the cellar all day putting up fairy lights and sharpening axes or whatever the nonsense they do. We have to sneak in from behind or we'll get caught. I heard the newbies have to shag a turkey, offers Pog. A dead one, I mean. Then they roast it and eat it. I grimace. How festive. It might be a goose, actually. Take longer to roast, though. I say, studying the labyrinthine map by the light of my GoPro. I photocopied it from the Town Hall archives. It shows the Victorian network of tunnels around the uni buildings. My head's swimming from the after effects of Santa's nutsack, and I've got a horrible feeling I've been holding it upside down. Vinny halts at a junction. Which way now, Both? Or maybe, Pog muses, it's a swan. Pog, shut up! I snap, hoping we're in one of the cellar vents and not the sewage overspill tunnel. It can't be a swan, objects Vinny. Only the Queen's allowed to shag a swan. Pog gasps in disapproval. May she rest in peace, Vinny mutters contritely. Ladies, please! Some of us are trying to pull a heist. Vinny pouts. Which way then, genius? Left, I point with confidence. I'm almost sure that's right. 20 minutes later, we've reached the chimney of the underground fireplace where the Scullers keep the sacred school sconce. Bertie told me they turned it into a cupboard with steel doors and a triple lock. The last thing they'll expect is a thief to come in from behind or above. The chimney was blocked up a century ago, but it once vented into the tunnels we're in, and by chipping out some bricks and wriggling down the flue, I'm pretty sure I can Mission Impossible this motherfucker. Pog and Vinny are too broad to get down, of course. They're here because they're strong enough to pull me back up. And frankly, because we've all three reached the point where hope's run out and we're desperate enough to wish on the skull of a syphilitic, alcoholic aristocrat, since that's the only way we'll get what we want. Vinny needs to lead Wigston's varsity lacrosse team to victory for the first time in a generation. Pog's on her second retakes and terrified of failing her exams again. As for me, I have a special request, and a hunch only the third Earl can grant it. I'm halfway down the narrow, ancient chimney flue, covered in soot and muttering like some sweary reverse Santa, when my bloody phone rings at top volume. I stab it wildly. If it weren't for the safety harness nicked from the climbing club, I'd be a goner. I dangle, breath held, hoping my heart doesn't explode, and pondering the irony of getting better reception underground than in my uni bedroom. Oh, why does Mum always choose the worst times to call? The voicemail notification pings. Oh, she'll text me in a minute too. At last, my questing tiptoes brush the top of an ancient cabinet. This must be where they keep the sconce. My GoPro shows a polished brown wood gleaming through a thick layer of dust and grime. Bertie said the Scullers only removed the Earl from his resting place once a year. Poor bugger. Maybe he got around too much in life, granted, but such a social cranium deserves more than just an annual outing. Boss Crones will certainly show him a good time if I can bust him out. Touchdown! I call softly, and the girls poke thumbs up through the hole in the chimney wall 20 feet above. Now I just have to liberate the skull, the girls will haul me back up, and we're golden. I brought my skeleton key and scoured YouTube for how to open locks. I'm not expecting it'll be easy, but appallingly, It is. Seems security isn't the Sculler's strong point, nor is taking care of priceless ancient objects, or even washing them up properly. I find the hallowed school sconce stuffed in an unlocked bottom drawer, carelessly wrapped in a Tesco's bag for life. Now that's irony. And I'm fairly certain those are Pringles crumbs clinging to the silver-lined bone of his noble brow. If a school can look pissed off while grinning, this one does. Oh, mate, as they were feeling, I really am rescuing you from a fate worse than death, aren't I? Let's get you out of here. We emerge into frozen midnight air from a snow-covered manhole 30 feet behind the library. Like filthy, awkward ninjas, we vanish deep into the forest that encircles the campus and prepare the ritual. We find a moonlit clearing. I draw a wobbly pentacle in the snow. This had better bloody work. First, Vinny rolls us a fat spliff. This isn't part of the ritual, but we need it, and I suspect the Earl would approve. Pog wedges it between his ancient teeth, and I just barely restrain him from taking a selfie. I stole Bertie's Sculler robe out of the washing basket at home, so Vinny, who goes first, is dressed for the part. She lifts the wine bottle over the school sconce and is about to pour when I yell, "Stop!" "What? Is that Prosecco?" Pog and Vinny exchange guilty glances. Yeah? It's supposed to be wine red as the devil's blood, you spanners. Vinny stares at me uncomprehendingly. But Prosecco was on special offer. Can't argue with that, Pog says loyally. Oh, fuck's sake, I mutter, sharing a disbelieving look with the hollow-eyed Earl. Haven't we got anything else? Lucozade Sport? Oh God, all right then. I snatch the bottle and fill the Earl full of booze, not for the first time. Sorry about this, fella. Quid laborare potes ipsam. Vinny reads the ritual text off her phone, swigs, swallows and swears never to reveal her wish, although obviously we all know it, unless she's changed her mind and Harry Styles suddenly proposes. Pog does the same. But when I lift my phone to recite, I see 7 missed calls from Bertie and an avalanche of WhatsApps. Yo, Cass, you see my Sculler's robe? Need it for tonight, lol. Seriously, Cass, I need that robe. Where is it? Is this a Boss Crone's prank? Oh, it's so childish. Little girl emoji. Jesus fucking Christ, did you steal the skull? Give it back, Cass. I will give you literally anything. I found the ransom note. What do you mean, hostile takeover? Call me. I grin and delete the lot. Then I read the right, drink, and wish. Who knows if it'll work, but little solstice magic suddenly feels possible. Poor Bertie. Shamed and schooled, bested by a chick. But what the hell? It's Christmas. If he's learned his lesson and the Earl's school gets the star treatment he deserves from now on, I'll return it. On one condition. Bertie resigns and I become the first female president of the newly combined Scullers and Boss Crone Society. That's not what I wished for, by the way. That's just a bonus. Becoming Prime Minister, though. Now that's a Christmas wish worth making. And maybe it's the weed, or the booze, or a rogue glint of moonlight on silver, but I swear I could see the Earl wink.